extreme heat belt to snare 100 million Americans in decades. This is what scientists warn, and it's from the First Street Foundation research. The heat wave scorching the U.S. this summer may just be the beginning of an extreme heat belt forming across the country. Let's remember we've also had droughts and extreme heat in China and also Northern Europe, with rivers drying up. Now, Matthew Eby, CEO of the climate risk research nonprofit First Street Foundation, said, "If people think this was hot, this is going to be one of the better summers of the rest of their lives," he said. The foundation published a hazardous heat report on Monday using a peer-reviewed model to assess 6 years of U.S. government satellite data and predict future risks of extreme heat by property. Its conclusions align with scientists' warnings that extreme heat will become more common, more extreme, and even longer lasting in the coming decades. Next year, the report projects that 8 million Americans face the prospect of sweltering in at least 125 degrees Fahrenheit for at least one day. By 2053, that would rise to 107 million Americans, 13 times more people in just 30 years, according to the report. That's about 1/3 of the current population, covering 1/4 of the U.S. land area, as shown in the maps. Counties where at least one day is expected to reach 125 degrees Fahrenheit in 2023, as compared to 2053. Now, the majority of that extreme heat is expected in the center of the country, from the Texas and Louisiana Gulf Coast up through Chicago, an area that First Street Foundation is calling the extreme heat belt. Significant portions of the Southwest and Southeast are also likely to have more than one day above 125 degrees Fahrenheit in 2053, according to the report. Now, the thing is, can plants, even animals, but can plants survive that heat? At such high temperatures, the National Weather Service warns that risk of heat stroke is high. Infrastructure often fails at such high temperatures too. Roads buckle, train tracks bend, and can cause derailing, and airport tarmacs can melt and prevent takeoff. Sometimes the power even goes out. More hot days and more heat waves. Days that breach 125 degrees Fahrenheit are not the only ones to worry about. Even temperatures above 100 degrees can be dangerous. In another map, the report projects more days above 100 degrees across the southern half of the country. The extreme heat of the summer so far in 2020 lines up with many of the locations where First Street Foundation expects the most heat in years to come, Eby said. Circles representing days above 100 degrees Fahrenheit in 2023 and compared to 2053. Darker colors indicate greater number of days, while the size of the circle represents the number of properties impacted. Now, for example, as the map shows, the reports project more heat waves across the country with significantly increased risk in northern areas as well, including the Pacific Northwest and other regions that are not historically accustomed to extreme heat. The county-by-county probability of a heat wave, 3 consecutive days above the 98th percentile for the local area in 2023 and 2053 compared. The projections in this report are conservative, since they assume a future scenario where humans drastically cut the greenhouse gas emissions that are driving climate change and increasing global temperatures. If the world does not cut emissions soon, particularly through a rapid transition away from fossil fuels to clean energy, the future of extreme heat could look even worse than the maps in this report. Eby said, if anything, our undercuts or our under-representation of these heat impacts will be noticed in 30 years. Even if humans stop emitting greenhouse gases tomorrow, some heating is locked in the gases we've already added to the atmosphere. To protect life, infrastructure, and property, Eby said, individuals and companies and governments have to prepare for more extreme heat in the future. He said, "Our hope is that this data can inform everyone from the individual to commercial users to state, local, and federal governments, which are all users of our data. Their data is publicly available on riskfactor.com, where you can check past data as well as current and future risks for individual properties." This article was originally published by Business Insider, and it's on Science Alert. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.